Hi, Alexis. Nice to have you here.
Thank you for having me.
Well, I think I'm the one needing to thank you for having me, us being in your office today. Great opportunity to visit Slovakia again. We find ourselves in beautiful Bratislava. Together with me, I have Alexis, whom I got to meet a couple of months ago, back in May, I think. It was
It's a 6 months ago. I feel like it was a year ago.
feels like years, indeed. So turned out that our paths got to cross each other at Podim in Maribor half a year ago, and whilst we didn't really get to speak much, this was one of these type of connections where you just feel the energy of the individual, maybe exchange contacts as we did. You know that the journey is going to lead you to that person at some point. You don't know where, when, or why, but you just get this feeling. And funnily, later on, I think in September, again the paths crossed, or was it October? Not sure, but recently. And one thing led to the other. Us sitting here now today, having a talk about human potential, finding your calling, and yeah, probably being a better person. I guess Alexis can put it in better words. So
Really?
instead of me rambling around, I will actually introduce you to tell us a little bit about yourself. Who are you?
Well, I would say I'm a spiritual guy that enjoys helping others and in the process help myself. I'm an enthusiastic man. I love sports, love food, love cooking, and a family man. Love I spend time with friends, and I just keep trying to live a fulfilled life.
What is a fulfilling life?
What is a fulfilling life? That depends of you identifying your life purpose and work toward it. Sonny says your life journey because you're never gonna find. It's a different as a goal. You know, you reach a goal, and then what is next? Your life purpose is a continuous process, a continuous journey that only gonna end when you die. And then in the process, you are enjoying what are you doing? Okay, regardless of circumstances, you just keep pushing forward.
Got it. And if I may ask, because it's always about the individual that's visiting or the individual with whom we're speaking, where did your journey start?
Since the moment you're born. Well, when we becomes conscious of what this is the inborn talent, those seed that got planted on you, and you know what it is, and you start working on it. Earlier, before this interview, we were talking about subjects like this, and I was telling you that all of us have a seed inside that God has put a seed in ourselves, and identify what that seed is our purpose. For instance, if I've been given the seeds of being a mango, and I'm trying to become giving a bananas, pineapple, a guanaba, and a different type of fruit, I may provide those fruits, but I'm not fulfilling my purpose. Okay, so it's identifying who you are, what is the seed that you have inside, and nourish, put in a fertile ground, water it, and growth in the process.
Do you know what kind of a seed are you? Or already a tree, maybe?
I like to say I like to water. In the process of watering others, I'm most likely gonna get water beyond my wildest expectation, and that is what my calling is.
Okay, understood. And was there? I'm really curious. Was there a specific aha moment, realization, or when did you start evolving yourself towards this kind of a more spiritual side and following your seat?
Um, when I was a child, probably 9 or 10, someone told me that I have this talent to look after kids and teach kids. So I pursued being a teacher, and going through the process. Many of my colleagues always used to say that I always speaking like a teacher, you know. And my calling came out in the lowest point of my life. I'm married 3 times. And my second marriage went through a very tough crisis, and I consider myself a troubleshooter, solving problems, and I couldn't solve the situations. I read books, I went to counseling, I did everything, but it didn't. Nothing of those things worked. So where I go? So I was growing up in the Catholic faith, and I felt the need to go back home. And my brothers is Christians, my sister's Christian. So I start going through that process, and in one moment, I have this experience with God that changed the way I start seeing things. I remember reading the Bible like I were a fairy tale story. When I found this encounter with God, I start having discerning, deep understanding what the book says. That was the process of the evolutions that for the person I became now.
So that may be a little bit helpful for us and the audience to understand more about this kind of a journey. I know that you were a teacher in Colombia, but that was actually only one of the stations of your personal track. So how did the journey look like?
Wow, I was early on. I didn't know that I was an entrepreneur. I had this spirit of entrepreneurship. I coming from a modest family, and where we needed to help my mom with the chores at home, and we used to make popsicles for tropical fruits. And then I used to go after the school and sell those things. I used to buy this powdered milk and fix it, put a sugar there, mix it, and I used to selling in people inside the school. Then I, as a teacher, after teaching, migrated to Canada, study information technology. I joined the United Nations. So I did consultancy. When my calling came up, I started doing a seminar, leadership, self-awareness seminar, coaching. And then in that process, that's where I came at the eureka moment, and I saw a pattern. And I say, hey, I had this background in information technology, and one of the rules is, in every pattern, things that repeats itself consistently, you have to automate it. So I saw that, and I started working the last 3+ years in digitalizing my consulting practices or my coaching practices so they can be scaled and reach out as many people as possible.
I have plenty of questions on that topic, but what I really want to ask you first, you mentioned the pattern. How did you, or when did you realize your own pattern?
When they start saying that the difficult circumstances or situations, the common denominator was myself. I wasn't there, right? And I used to find excuses to say, hey, because of this person, because the other person, because the circumstances didn't favor me, and so on and so forth. And I was able to see those things with technology, but I never saw those things on myself until I started realizing it. I have a lot of people, mentors, that helped me out to go through the path of self-discovery. And there I realized that I needed to make changes for those circumstances that I was facing. I was changing places, but I insisted with the circumstances also all was always coming with me. But on all instances, it indicated that I was the problem. It's just that I was seeing things in a different way that other people were not seeing it. And the way to verbalize it, to adjust or become dynamic, to be able to fluid to it, I was very immature to do those things. So now it's a little bit different. When you get older, you start seeing things in more perspective, and you step back, you do what you have to do, you let the situation start developing itself, and then you take the next actions, how you can do those things. One of the things that I highlight a lot when coaching or talking with people is that you need to identify the environment that will nurture your potential, where you can increase your level of success. And that is something that all of us need to be able to identify very quickly to maximize our potential.
At the very beginning of our talk, you mentioned values.
Mm-hmm.
How does one become aware of the ruling value set?
Well, it's important to define what your values are different type of values. I would say the aesthetic values, how things looks, the nature. There are economic value, not necessarily has to be financial value, but is a little effort, maximum return. The political value, that indicate that you want to be a leader, you want to be in command, you have want to have control of the situation. The altruistic value, the simple fact that you want to help people. There are other values, and into those categories, 7 categories, you can put different the values within that, right? So you need to define those values. Once you define those values and you are clear, that will drive you to go there. Now, how you will live within your value, that are what is called the driver of engagement, where you are motivated to do certain things. So your talent will help you out to get to that value. Now, how good you can be to achieve that value, you need to have, let's say, whatever is your job is, for instance, you are the interviewer, you need to be very good at asking questions, right? So you, in your particular role, you gotta be a good listener to make questions, to bring that insight those people have. But you only become a master of it by practicing. You becomes mindfulness, very mindful of what you're doing, that it becomes so natural. It's effortless, make it easier. So that's what we need to do, is a practice, is to develop that competences on what we are. And all these 3 components drive you to your path, to your purpose, to your calling.
Do you have any applied questions one could ask themselves?
I'm a man of faith. I always, regardless of the settings, I know that I work with people that doesn't believe in God. But I say, whatever you believe in, again, I believe in God. I said, what He is calling you to do. What is the seed He planted in you? Ask yourself those questions. What I'm here for? Yes, to pay bills, to show off how smart I am, to boost my ego. Yeah, self-confidence, you have to have a little bit of ego, but you need to tame it. You need to tame that ego and say, okay, and how this skill that I have, that have been make me successful by external standards of how much money I have or how much public recognition do I have, how I can help the others, how I can water others, right? And so we were talking earlier and say, hey, while you're watering others, you'll be watered. And that's such a way that you don't even imagine it's going to come up to youths that are you don't know where they're coming from. If you are humble enough to realize it.
That actually connects quite nicely also with your second name, Del Rio. You're connected to the water, right?
I traced a little bit. My last name is for the Spaniard, was a colonizer in Colombia. Yes, it means I belongs to the river. Yes, a lot of people think that I'm from Brazil because of Rio de Janeiro. Yes.
Okay, and moving on, becoming an entrepreneur. Also, you mentioned ego, which is, I guess, a good friend and enemy in the same time.
Yes.
Especially to entrepreneurs.
Indeed. I think that I have achieved more when I humble myself than when I go with the ego. That's the driving force. But being bold for those who lack of self-confidence, you can be arrogant to have too much ego, right? And at the same time, you may consider in which setting you want to bring that strong boldness, not to intimidate the people that you are going to be working with. But that comes with experience, that you start sizing, testing the water where you environment you are operating, and set yourself into it.
You mentioned that you were in the process of digitalizing your previous consulting activities.
Mm-hmm.
And this actually leads us slowly also to the question of your current devotion and mission. Could you tell us a little about it?
Well, my background is information management, right? And I've been lucky enough, fortunate, better say blessed, to work in different areas in the information technology. I repair laptops, desktops, answer phone calls, build that network from the ground up, and so on and so forth. Do a little bit of coding. And when I started working as a performing coach, that we talked earlier, I don't remember if it's through the interview or before the interview.
No, I think it was before. You can actually share a little bit of the insight there.
Yeah. I saw some patterns in the reports of the coachings. Let's better say the economic behavior. That's what it's called. Okay. And start seeing that patterns, and as I said, any things that you repeat, that are content to repeat, you don't see those patterns, you automate it. Mm-hmm. So I already have seen some gaps in the marketplace based on my experience where I travel, and I brought this idea to a colleague of mine, ex-colleague of mine, that we became friends. And I asked him what he thinks about it, and he said, "Hey, this is good, because you are no the person, the business is not dependent on you. This can grow." So when he told me that, and I said, "Okay, let me push forward to this idea," and that's what I did. Interestingly, I was in a coffee shop. We have breakfast in a similar bistro here, and I was talking with one of my clients, and I hung up. When I hang up, somebody said, "Hey, what do you do?" And he said, "Hey, I'm doing performing coach." And I say, "Hey, can I try? Can we have a meeting? How I can go about it?" And we start working. I he took an assessment, and I provide the interpretation of that assessment. And then he said, I need this with my team. And then I did it with his team, but every single report has about 80 pages.
Oh.
And I was like, do you want the 80 pages, or you want me to digest this for you and give you the information you need to make the decision? He said, yes, that. So I didn't know exactly how I'm going to go about it, And I start at home. I don't have a whiteboard, and I just a piece of paper. And I start thinking, okay, what is data set that he needs to make that decisions, okay? But it's not only just one person, it's several others. So how I can do this? So I came up with a matrix in a spreadsheet, and I presented to him, and he was like, oh man, this is great. Let me call a friend of mine that I also may be interested. And then that friend of mine said, hey, I like it. And I said, okay, that's it. I'm going through this. So I started working on Tripper, how to develop this, what's the business flow, what kind of code, how it's going to work, and all those things. And way before we coded, I started working with digitalizing it. I have everything mapped out. But when we did a demo, I presented to people in the industry. And we got feedback, and we took all this feedback and need to reshuffle a couple of things here and there, and that's what we are right now. We are finalizing our what is it called, MVP, minimum valuable product. So
basically, first working.
Actually, it's our second version, because that's where we got the feedback. Okay. So we believe that now we are a little bit closer to the market fit.
Lovely. You mentioned the name Trippa. Could you maybe tell us what does it stand for?
Trippa stands for talent, role, insight, performance, awareness. At the same time is the instant time in Spanish, in English become GAT. And a GAT is a boldness, perseverance, witness, courage, and you got, and give it a lot of adjective to it, so that you need to move forward to achieve and overcome anything.
All right, so I guess you're in the process, as far as I hear, correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems you're in the process of digitalizing your kind of secret sauce or approach to...
I would say it's already digitalized. How I can reach the market, okay. That's the trick part right now. Getting enough people to try it out, to find out that I'm solving a problem, and they like it, and I believe we work, because prior to before I digitalized it, I was having a quite good acceptance. The issue of the COVID stopped my performing coaching people changes. There were no calling for training and so on and so forth. But for me, it was a blessing, because I was able to dedicate the time to really develop the idea.
To water the seedling.
So you was watering the seed. Now, I love, now that you mentioned that, I love this Les Brown is talking about the bamboo tree, right? He's in one of his biggest speeches, the bamboo tree, that he used an analogy that people watering his garden, and the neighbors passing by, and people don't see anything. He had planted the seed, people don't see anything. And he said, hey, you got 3 years here and we don't see anything. And they start laughing. So he brings the story of the bamboo tree from Asia, and he say, it's a tree that it takes year, 2 or 3 years to 3 or 4 years. I don't remember exactly the number of years. You don't see nothing. But a matter of weeks, when they start coming out, it's potentially go high, right? So if we look our journeys, our work, our purpose as a instant result, that may bring a lot of frustration. But if you see as a way to test your character, to growth in the process, that can become more fulfilling. So yes, a tripa is my bamboo tree. So I have been watering for a little while, and just there was certain environment that was not there, so I had to take tripa from that side of the garden, right, and bring the right soil and plant it in that soil for it start growing. Now I can see just a little bit of the leaf coming out from that bamboo tree.
So, if we come back to the individualistic side of things, where do you see people struggling most nowadays?
I think there is a competitions of the legal comes. You have this, I don't have it, I need to have it. The comparison, the constant comparison that the marketing, all companies selling us have something, a picture of the perfect future, right? You need to have and look in this way to be successful. And they lose their identity in the process. I want to be like Mike, so I'm going to buy a Nikes. I can buy those Nikes. I can buy everything that Michael Jordan uses endorsement, but I will not have the talent of Michael Jordan, right? Even if I try and work 100,000 shots, right? Yes, I will improve, but I may not have that inborn talent that Michael Jordan has, and that's the biggest problem we have. We try to achieve what the other people want us to achieve, become what the other people want to become, without, first of all, identify the values and identifying you see what are those competencies that I need to develop to become what I was born to become. That I believe that's one of the major issues. We are comparing, and we let our ego drive. My neighbor has a bigger car, so I need to get a bigger car. And we were talking also about mindfulness early on, right? And confidence and boldness, and all those things are related. The values as you drive your own engagement, because if you are doing something that is natural to you, and you get so focused on it, so engaged, that external distraction is no problem. You lose sense of time. Okay. And for that, you need to practice. So when your competencies come, you develop those competencies that support your inborn talents. And your values can change over time, right? They definitely depend on the circumstances, the moment in your life. So you need to shift a little bit your value, but they are in reality, they are core of who you are. Okay, so you need to clarify what your values are.
If you would have a magic wand or one wish from the golden fish, what would it be?
I go always get to know, starting my relationship with my Creator, with God. I don't believe in luck, even though sometimes by culture I use it a lot. I don't believe in karma, but I believe in grace. And that is my faith is the tenet of who I became, who I am right now and what I'm gonna continue doing.
So for somebody not familiar with grace, is there like a first step in this journey?
But yeah, identify what your purpose in life is, and I'm sure that some way or another you will have that wow moment, whether you want to accept it or not. Or scientifically been proven that we are spiritual. Unfortunately, we give more relevance to our soul, our emotions, and our physical appearance than the spiritual one. There are a lot of people looking into the spiritual in different way. That's the path, that the choice, that's settled with that's okay. But I believe once you are in connection with your nature, the spiritual, with your creator, you will find fulfillment in life. I'm not saying that you have to be a spiritual want to be a good person. It's not necessarily. But we know that we have plenty of samples in life, the people that became very famous, very successful, but they were not happy. So when they reach out all the money, everything, all the fame, they didn't find fulfillment because they were not working on the purpose.
Seems fulfillment is the key word.
I believe so, yes. I strongly believe so.
Is there anything you would like to share as closing remarks? Absolutely open, no, leave it.
Oh man, I would share just this about authenticity.
Awesome.
Okay, people, everybody, be authentic. Yes, do this. Be original. But once you are, the same people are telling you, hey, I don't like that. That is not good, right? And being authentic, it's not easy. In a world where everybody want to be a copy of somebody, and we have to become uniqueness, looks, talk, and behave like everybody wants. Is at the expectation. So once you take that decision, become unique, original, authentic, you need to persevere. And that I will call maybe a lonely place at the beginning. But those people who truly love you will accept you completely. Not only the good part, gonna accept you full and find your authenticity. That will be my takeaway from our conversation. Find your seed, your life purpose, and authenticity.
Beautiful. Nothing more to add on my end here.
Okay, good.
So, Alexis, thank you